I'm John Brink, and we are podcasting on the Brink from downtown Prince George, British Columbia, Canada. And for all those people watching us, you say, oh, we know where Canada is, in British Columbia on the West Coast, right? Right. And then where is Prince George? Well, we are 500 miles, or for our European friends, 800 kilometers north of Vancouver, in the center of British Columbia, north-south, east to west. And so that's where we are. Beautiful area, beautiful nature. Today we have a very, very interesting guest. Is Dr. Christiane Schroeter, and Dr. Christiane Schroeter is a TEDx speaker, business and wellness coach, a professor and best-selling author who wrote 3 books, and we'll talk about that obviously, who helps entrepreneurs achieve big results through small strategic actions. And with a Ph.D. in health economics, he's a professor of marketing, innovation, and entrepreneurship. Dr. Christine, can I call you Christina?
Yeah, it's perfect. Christiane.
Christiana.
Awesome. Love
So
it.
tell us about yourself and your past. So where were you from originally? And then you have obviously had you still have a very, very interesting life. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so the reason why my name is maybe just a little bit different in particular is because I'm born in Germany. So I came from the European continent to the United States. In particular, I live in California now.
Okay.
And that's where I work at the university here, having lots of fun. I have 2 teenage daughters, and of course, life in California. That's maybe I'm going to share a few more tidbits with you later, but it's super fun.
So, which part of Germany? And again, for your information, although you may know that, I was born in Holland. And within northeastern Holland, about 10 minutes from the German border. So we're very, very close.
Well, 10 minutes distance to the border. I like that so much. The city where I'm born is actually also in the Netherlands. So it's called Limburg.
Yeah.
And I know that there is a Limburg in the Netherlands that actually produces an amazing cheese. Now, the Limburg in Germany does not make cheese. Germans, not necessarily cheesemakers. But the Netherlands does have the Limburg. Which city are you born in, John?
It is called Sappemeer, and it's in the province Groningen. And Holland has 11 provinces. And Groningen is the extreme northeastern area of Holland. And as I said earlier, I'm about 10 minutes from the German border, which is so interesting about it, because these days you can drive straight from my place in Holland, straight across you don't even stop at the border, you go straight into Germany. And and that is amazing. And at the town that I lived in is in the province of Groningen, and it's between the German border, and the city Groningen is the head city of the province of Groningen is Groningen. And so if you drive around there, probably 50% of the plates there are German. So that's how much interaction there is as part of the European community, of being much closer than they have been and still are. And that's very, very helpful for everybody.
Love that.
So
I think that's brilliant. Yeah.
So what city, your city was Limburg, or the area?
Mm-hmm.
It was Limburg.
Yep, that area right on there. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then did you do some of your studies already there before you came to North America or to the US?
I did. I studied food sciences first.
Okay.
Then I specialized in food economics. And then I became quite passionate, actually, in really pursuing even more an economics degree. So I first earned my master's degree, and then I applied for my PhD in applied economics. Lived in the cold Midwest. Now, John, you will appreciate that. I lived in Indiana. I studied at Purdue University, and he's laughing already. Yeah, the
Yeah.
Netherlands are not exactly known for the wonderful warm summers. It is beautiful there, but it's also really green because it rains a lot, just like in Germany.
So we
And then
always,
from there,
yeah, we always say, sorry to interrupt you, but we always say, if people ask me about what is the climate in Holland, I say the climate in Holland is the rain is colder in the wintertime.
so true, so true.
Lots
Yeah,
of it.
then from Purdue University, as I said, located in Indiana, I moved first to the south of the United States and worked there for a couple of years. And then from there, I actually moved all the way to California, which is where I'm living now. So I live at the central coast of California, right between Los Angeles and San Francisco. And there are actually a fair amount of Europeans here. Probably because it is one of the most gorgeous parts of California. So if you sometimes see those movies with the Highway 1 and those famous bridges and the beautiful beaches, that's exactly where I'm at. Not like the Baywatch beaches, but the ones that really have this beautiful nature and just stunning architecture. That's where I'm at.
You see, and what I find, Christiane, is that I was born in Holland, you were born in Germany, and so what I say a lot of times to people here, I fly around a lot, I do a lot of business, both in the United States and obviously in Canada and all over the place, but every time I fly around, especially the West Coast, and Canada, and then going on to Washington State, Oregon, and then in particular for me, Northern California, is that I usually, when I fly commercial, I usually sit at the window, and a lot of times I look outside and say, it's paradise. It is how lucky I am to live in this beautiful, beautiful country, but both Canada and the United States, and the coastline in particular.
Yes, that's exactly how I feel, and especially if you're flying a smaller airplane that can fly quite low, so you can really enjoy the beautiful views. And it is really stunning. And there's a lot of nature here, a lot of national parks. We have basically the both worlds, right? We have the ocean, but then we also have the mountains. And that means really that it's a little bit for everybody. It's like an appetizer plate. And then speaking of food, there's a lot of agriculture, right? So we have
Exactly.
wine regions, produce regions. It is really like, if you think about this as America's orchard living right here outside of my home.
So, looking at your bio, you
Mhm.
are a successful presenter, and obviously, what I already have noticed, you're a very, very good communicator. And that, again, is critical for success, at least from my perspective, is that to become successful, you must become an effective and a very good communicator. And so you are. It's part of what you do. You were involved in TEDx, and then, you are a coach and business and wellness, and then included entrepreneurship. And again, the key to being successful is being a good communicator. And that also brings me to, you're a successful author as well. And I'm an author, but writing books, what I tell everybody, is delightful and it's very interesting experience, but it's not easy. And so for me, the first book that I wrote is Against All Odds, and a lot of people said to me, coming from Holland in 1965 is nothing, couldn't speak the language, didn't know a soul, and didn't have a job, and starting from the bottom up. You had such an interesting job, John, and you did so many things. You should write a book about it. And so for 20 years, I tried to write a book. It started, stop, and then about 6, 7 years ago. The next month and a half, I will be 85 years young, and so 6 years ago, when I was already in my mid 70s, I knew if I didn't do it now, it would never happen. So with this book, I lived it for 80 years. I thought about it for 20, and it took me 2.5 years to write it. And so, and I liked it. But, so talk to us or share with us your experience in particular. Have you been a natural writer, or is that already part of what you did, your PhD and all the other kind of things that you have done? Writing was always an important part of that. Did books then naturally followed it, or what happened?
This is a brilliant question, really, because for an author, and I like how you used your hands and described this, like you're writing and then you're pausing and then you're writing and you're pausing. In reality, deep down, I think we are all amazing at writing because many people have diaries at home, right? There are so many different ways that you write things down, your thoughts, and in your own style, how you communicate with paper, that we frequently underestimate how proficient of an author we could be. Now, we don't all need to publish books, but in reality, as long as you keep it up, it's just a muscle, you become better. So yeah, when I was a teenager and young adult, I actually love writing diaries. And even at the end of the day, writing down my favorite 3 parts of the day or my 3 wins of the day, just to kind of close off the day with a really good positive practice. I actually call it petite practice because it's small, right? You don't have to write 10 pages in your diary, just like half a page, but just keep it up. Just like the writing, the putting pen to paper is such an important practice, and small, as I say, petite. And at the same time, for an author, it's the same thing. So my favorite petite practice, John, is actually when I wrote my dissertation, because I went to the library and I checked out the other dissertations and realized, oh, wow, those things are like 150 pages long on average. That's a lot of pages.
Now,
So
Christina, dissertation is for your PhD assignment. So just to share that with our people that are watching.
Great question. Yes, the dissertation is something that shows your research from the introduction, the literature review, to the research methodology, and then, of course, the results and the conclusion. That's kind of the classic setup. If you think about a laundry machine, it has all the programs in there and it starts to finish. You can read out the whole thing, but it's usually, especially doctorate dissertation, highly scientific. Mhm.
And that will then bring you to the PhD as one of the critical elements of being a PhD.
Correct. Yeah. So it basically means philosophy doctorate is PhD is an acronym,
Right.
that you research one area while you research all of the other literature that has worked in this field. And then you figure out what your particular contribution would be. What's your unique value that you're adding to this? And most of the time, you have to collect data or you have to get data together and then analyze it, especially if you're doing something in economics or mathematics, the way that I did that.
So that kind of gave you a unique resume. And then the other one is interesting on an international level is TEDx. And TEDx, again, share with our listeners from around the world and saying, okay, what does that mean, Christina? So share with our guests watching us from around the world what TEDx is all about.
Yeah, so TEDx is a global organization. It actually started in California, just as TED, a stage where you share ideas that are creating a unique value to the audience that tunes in. And that's something, it's usually like a 15-minute conversation that somebody has discovered, and they feel that others should listen to this as well, this unique idea, because they're learning something, taking away something from it. Now, the X part means that it's organized by a local organization. So instead of going to this one location in California, there are various locations throughout the whole world where you can speak in a TED type format. You're still presenting a unique idea. It's still at 17 or 18-minute mark. And of course, it should focus on something which creates value, which creates fun thought. That is a takeaway message for the audience. And now the amazing thing, of course, is because there are so many TED Talks out there that it has a certain brand associated with it. So TED Talks, you can tune in on podcasts, on YouTube. There are even books about it, but they have a certain brand stamp on it. So if you give a talk like that, you have to kind of follow that particular format. To stand on a stage, on a red dot, it's actually called. There's a little carpet on that stage, and then you have to start presenting.
And then who are judging, or who will decide that you qualified and can then use it in your bio as that you are a TEDx speaker?
Yeah, so
The question is.
the process itself to become a TEDx speaker is quite rigorous. So you can look up call outs for TEDx events throughout the whole world and then apply for it. Now, every X event, every local event will have their own unique focus. So it's TED stands for technology, entertainment, design. So it could be one of those three areas that you talk about, but every local event could have their own emphasis. And that means you need to fill out an application form. Most of the time, submit a video where you present a snippet of your talk between 2 to 7-10 minutes, ideally completely rehearsed. So no reading from the screen, completely memorized, so that they could tell this is how it's going to look like on stage when that person presents. And that means every application is quite unique, but also time consuming, just like writing a book. And then you may or may not get selected. Now, it's not a personal thing. It's not that they don't like you, but it could just be that your particular talk doesn't fit what they are looking for, right? So my second application that I submitted was accepted, and the talk then really resonated with the audience. And I can't wait to share that with your audience once it comes out on YouTube.
Yes. And so what you then do, so is that not long ago that you did this, or so?
Yep.
And
2 weeks ago.
Oh, 2 weeks. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah.
They obviously found it successful, and then from there on in it will go on YouTube. Now, I believe you are also a podcaster.
Yes, I do. Mm-hmm.
Tell us about that.
So my podcast started in March 23rd, 2023. So 3/23/23 is actually, I filled a unique void because my podcast is ranked top 1% globally now. So the audience loves the podcast episode. They're short snippets, again, that petite practice, which is my trademark. And I alternate between having guests, doing solo episode, but it really focuses on how can we stay healthy, happy while we are hustling. And that's the name of the podcast, Happy, Healthy Hustle.
Happy, Healthy Hustler. And so, and again, that's shown on YouTube as well? Or
Yes, it is.
How can people watch it? So they just put happy, healthy, once they put it in, what was it again, Christina?
It's Happy, Healthy Hustle, and it would be on my YouTube channel at Dr. Christiane.
Okay. So very, very popular now, YouTube and podcasting, is that I believe it will be, and I've done the same, started first blogging about 6-7 years ago, and then then started working with a local television station, and then inviting interesting people into a discussion, and so that went well, and then COVID happened. We couldn't do that anymore, and then say, well, what do we do now? And I had this apartment here, downtown Prince George, behind me, and it's foggy outside, but it's bush and an amazing location. And so we said, let's make it a studio. And so we did that. And I started podcasting, and then, using mainly, again, local, regional, interesting individuals. And then we joined Podmatch. And Podmatch brings people together from around the world, and probably they brought us together, I presume, and so there we got somebody like yourself in Central California, and then you got me sitting in Central British Columbia, Canada. And can you believe it? And there we have a discussion about all these things. So I believe that, so from there on in I started podcasting, and On the Brink is my podcast with John A. Brink, On the Brink. And so we podcast around the world. Actually, you are my podcast where I'm hosting 458. And then I've done about 200 where I'm a guest on others. And then we are nearly at 1 million subscribers. I think we're 30,000 away from 1 million subscribers on YouTube. Amazing, powerful podcast in a general sense. I believe that is what will become the media more so than the traditional radio station, television station, CNN, ABC, and on and on and on and on, BBC, and then Canada, CBC, and blah, blah, blah. All those things, I believe podcasting will take a new role that is only on its infancy. It's exploding as we speak. So, and I enjoy it because in our particular case, in my case, is that I'm a storyteller. That's what I do in my books. And I like interacting, spontaneous. We never met before. This is the first time that we met in the last half hour, and about all the things that are important to you and to me, and hopefully to the people watching us around the world. And that's why it is important. The other thing that I do in my podcast, our podcast that I've done, the nearly 500 of them, I release it within 2 hours, unedited. It is what it is, and I like that part about it. And that makes my podcast unique in the sense that it is spontaneous. It is virtually right away, not 2 months later or whatever other people do. And again, with all due respect, obviously, I believe to create that niche, and you did the same in yours as a communication vehicle. In addition to all the books that you do and the coaching that you do, podcasting is, I believe, an important part in your life as well.
Completely agree. And all the amazing people I meet while I'm podcasting, the guests on my show or the shows that I've been a guest on, are just creating an amazing network. And my last book, actually, I feature a lot of these guests in my book. And so you can look at the book, and they give you an ability to tune into those podcast episodes and listen to those amazing guests. So that was one idea that I had always in the back of my mind. To answer your earlier question about were we born authors, I always wanted to somehow connect podcasting and writing. And that book then answered that question.
If you got it there, you got all kinds of books behind you, and I want you to share with our audience all your books. Show us the first one first that you did, Christina.
So this is my latest book, what I just mentioned.
That is physically a big book, right?
Oh, yeah.
Is it bigger? Also, in terms of size, it looks bigger than. Yeah. So discover.
You know why?
Yeah.
Let me show you why. Because I'm a
Why?
marketing expert. Look here, I have a laptop. You
Right.
see, it's the exact same size.
I love it.
So when you take your iPad or your laptop, right, this is exactly the way that I sized it.
I love it.
So it's not getting lost in your backpack because you're going to get out that business workstation, your laptop, and then you have your book right there.
Okay, so then the other part, very, very important, I get very excited about this because I'm an author, is saying that, lift it up a little bit. So discover your superpower. I love that. Is that, and then the title underneath it, there is a tree, and equally important are the roots that you don't normally see because you look at the tree. And I know you did that I don't know that, but I'm going to ask you. You did that for a purpose because the key is that once I walk by the bookstore, by the books, you have to, and I do, create something that somebody will pick up. And once it is in somebody's hands, because the book triggered my curiosity, once they have it in their hands, I'm 50% there. And so then they want to see more and more and more and more. So what I see here is unique in terms of size. That's the first thing that I said. The other one, the title, is interesting because it shows not only the tree, but it shows the roots system. And those two are critically important.
I love all that. And you are exactly right with regard to the roots, because I think we all have superpowers, but we have to tap into them. They're already there.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yep. And then once you find them, you're going to blossom.
I love it. I love it, Christiane. So what did you do? So that just came out when?
This one I published March 2025 at the anniversary of my podcast.
Okay.
The second year anniversary of my podcast was on 3/23/25, and that's when I published this book.
Okay.
Because it is all about my podcast.
Right. I love it. And because podcasting it's exploding as we speak. And so that's why it is important so the audience that you're aiming at is which audience? Is it the ones that want to know more about it, or what is the audience you're aiming at?
Oh, brilliant. I actually break it down into 3 categories. Writers, right? So people that would like to write their own books. Speakers, people that want to stay on a stage. The question is always like, well, what should I talk about? It's like, well, if you find your superpower, you know what you're going to talk about. And then thirdly, it's creative entrepreneurs. So maybe somebody that wants to create some gift and share it with the world, it's for you as well, right? So writers, speakers, creative entrepreneurs, this book is for you. And that is in essence, because if we tap into our superpower, we all become better people.
I find it interesting that you keep referring to the superpower. And so do I in a way as well. I love it the way, and that's the other part that I like about it. The layout of the book I like, the heading I like, and the font, again, very, very important in presenting, so, and I like defining your
Yes,
superpower.
I define my superpower right here.
I love it. So I love it, Christiane. I want to talk about the other books too, but first this part is that, I showed you the one book that I did. The second one that I did is that, so I have a few, are you okay? I have a few challenges.
I was just holding my chair back because I got up earlier. All good.
That's okay. So I'm ADHD. And I have dyslexia. And I wrote a book about that and saying, so ADHD Unlocked, very, very popular. So and very quickly, without going too deeply into it, academically, I was not a success story. I failed grade 3, I failed grade 7 3 times, and they said, what are we going to do with this guy? Some people said to my parents, who were beautiful in Holland, they said, send him to the mentally challenged school. They said, no, we're not going to do that. So they sent me to the factory to become a furniture maker at 12 and a half years old.
Wow.
And then, and then I was born in 1940, just before the Second World War started, and then we were liberated by the Canadian Army, and it made such an impression on me that I always knew that I would go to the land of my heroes, Canada. And I did when I was 24 years old in 1965. And I wanted to start with nothing because I felt I was just as smart as any of the other ones of my friends. They can be very hard on each other, especially I became a laborer. I'm proud of that today, but then I was kind of looked down on. And so, that I was going to prove to me that I was just as smart as the ones that went to college and university. And so came to Canada with the dream of building a lumber mill. And I wanted to start with nothing. So in July of 1965, flew into Montreal, took the train across Canada to British Columbia, because that's where all the trees are. And so, the 4 days, 5 nights, my God, that is a long way. Anyway, so then I came off the bus of the train, went to the immigration department, couldn't speak English, didn't know soul, didn't have a job. But I spoke some German, and so there was a German fellow at the immigration department, and I told him I wanted to build a lumber mill. He said, go to Prince George. That's where they're building sawmills and blah, blah, blah. And I did. And I came off the bus here in Prince George in July of 1965. And I can still, 60 years later, I'm still here, and I can still see where the Greyhound stopped. And I had my suitcase, 3 books, 2 sets of clothes. I counted my money at least 3 times. I had exactly $25.47. And
my gosh.
Didn't know a soul, didn't have a job, but I had a dream. Now, the other part that's important to me, what I did have, attitude. I've always been positive. I avoid negative. Don't even come close to me. Passion, whatever I do, I give it 125%. And work ethic. I work harder. Even now, at nearly 85 years old, I get up at 5:30 in the morning. I always make my bed, and I always think I'm late. And then I started it was pure coincidence that I walked into a bookstore here, and I picked up a book. And the book that I picked up is this one, actually. This is the actual book I picked up in January of 1997. I'd been here already for 32 years, and the book's title is Driven to Distraction. And it's written by Dr. Edward Hollywell, medical doctor, professor, and very well known around the world, in particular as it relates to, and he is ADHD and has dyslexia, wrote 18 books, and is well known around the world. So when I started reading it, and I said, oh my God, that's me, I'm ADHD. And I wrote in the book in Dutch. Now I finally know who I am. And so I dated it January 1997. And then it took me another 5 years before I would go to my doc that delivered our 2 daughters and was a personal friend. And he said to me, why are you here, John? I said, I think I got ADHD. And so we checked it out, and I do. But in the meantime, what I did, after I picked up the book and went through the book, and then go to Google, I knew then ADHD is a superpower, and it can be. And so the more I saw about it, the more I understood it, and it became part of my life. And then from there on in, I became at 62 years old, and then into my 70s, I became an author, and I've done 5 books now. I'm working on my 6th one. I'm a speaker and presenter, and I have 10 different companies that are doing well most of the time. And then obviously I'm a podcaster. And then the other part that is important to me is, health and exercise. This is a picture of a book that I wrote, Living Young, Dying Old. Picture of me, actually. I'm the oldest competitive bodybuilder in North America. And so it is amazing what it did for me. It changed everything. But at the latter part of life, when I already was in my 70s, and I became competitive bodybuilding and physique that qualified me for the provincials, the nationals, and the Arnolds. And again, even now, I'm into healthy food. I'm very conscientious. My wife is a veterinarian, and so I'm very conscientious as well about food. And I do all the shopping in the grocery store. So if I go to a grocery store, I go to the outside rather than the inside where all the processed food are. And then I go get exercise. And so, because at the end of the day, it's not about age, it's quality of life that counts.
Oh, we have so much in common. I love that.
Yes? Tell me about it.
Well, so just, picking up on the bodybuilding, I'm actually a fitness instructor, John.
Amazing. I love it.
Because did you know that if you are teaching something that you're really passionate about, it transforms people's lives? So I do teach weightlifting as well. And I teach Pilates. I teach six-pack abs, a TRX class that uses suspension bands, so it also builds muscle. Teach a spin class that increases your cardio. And all that is something that's so important to me that I feel it makes me a better person because I teach what I'm passionate about. And people walk away with a smile and being healthier.
Exactly. And that's what I do. And that's why I'm showing this once more, because you can now appreciate it, that's who I look today. And so at November the 1st, I will be 85 years young, I call it. And so after our podcast, again, I go 4 times a week to the gym, and I do strength training, but also cardio. And I'm at the risk of saying to people that are, especially when they get older, that, well, I'm too old for this and that. I say, start with walking slowly and half an hour a day. Go with a partner or your friend or whatever it is, and then go a little bit more, and then start looking at diet. Like with me, I'm obviously not qualified. I'm not a doc or have qualifications to, but I can only share what I do. I sleep 7 to 9 hours a day. I always, when I wake up, I drink 10 ounces of water, first and foremost, before I do anything. Then in the mornings, I have usually 3 eggs and an avocado, or 4 eggs and an avocado. And then from there on in midday, I have a double protein drink when I'm at the gym. And then in the evening, I have more substance in terms of protein to build, muscle. And that is important. And that's what I do. And then I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do drugs.
Yeah, I think that's, in reality, there's no magic formula in turning your life around. You just have to get started small. And you don't have to think, oh my gosh, I need to get this or I need to get this. You just get some sneakers and start walking. And then you're already off to an amazing start.
And the amazing part about Christina is what will happen is somebody will come down and say, hey, Christina or John, you look good. What are you doing? And that then becomes the reward and saying, and then gradually from there on in, if you wish, you can do more. But combining cardio and some strength training, in particular for when you get older, is important. You don't have to go to a gym. You can do it at home. Start it simple and then go from there. Doesn't mean that you cannot go where I did go to, but it feels good, and those things are very, very important.
Completely agree. And it's also important. I always think of the physical health and the mental health kind of like a two-way street, to where on some days you just feel strong and like conquering the world. And that's maybe the day when your mind needs like this little extra pick me up. And on other days, maybe you're feeling really clear and sharp in your brain, but maybe you feel a little sluggish with regard to your body. So you need to fine tune your workouts and your life around your well being. Not every day is the same, but just honor that you can take care of yourself. And there are so many different ways that you can do that. Break up a workout instead of doing it all at once, right? Or maybe instead of walking outside, maybe just stretch on that day. And I think in general, just fine tuning and keeping it up, consistency is really the secret to success.
And I agree with you, Christina. And then the other reason that I do what I do is that neurodiversity issues are very common in the world globally, and people are starting to talk about it more than they did before. For me, it is important to share with others the challenges that I had along the way. And from the time that I was 12 and a half years old and was considered to be in school, probably not bright enough to amount to anything, as was said by the teachers, with all due respect to the teachers, but they didn't know any better at that time either. Yeah. And so, I find it important that 12 and a half years old till the time that, I was diagnosed with ADHD, it was 50 years. And during that period, but although I was already successful in some of the things, but I was still wondering, who am I? Why am I different than all the other ones? Why is that? And it was not until I picked up this book that I said, now I know. And then from there on in, I started writing. I started to, become a speaker, and then business turned around, became much more successful. And then the other part that I find very, very important is one of the last books that I wrote is this one here, Communication Skills. And I called it Billionaire because for reasons, this is not a book about how to become a billionaire, although you can if you wish, but it's more about communication skills. And what made them who they are is being communicators. And I believe that part is under thought. It should be more part of the learning system, is becoming a good speaker, at least reasonable for a good communicator, is critical. And anybody's life is very, very important.
I couldn't agree more. And for two reasons, right? One, and I can pull one of my other books from the shelf too.
We want to see all your books. Yeah.
All of them. Well, this is one of my bestsellers on Amazon. It was the #1 bestseller in continuing adult education, actually, when it came out in 2024, just, last year.
Okay.
And same format. So this is my brand, the workbook format, but I'm going to zoom in really close. See, it's one-page worksheet. So we all are overwhelmed, and these books are so visually interesting that I even included word searches.
I love it. I love it.
We gotta have fun in life, right?
And so why the steps? How to master your goals? And then it says create a collection of pages, worksheet, and on your way to success.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's your step-by-step procedure. I'm really breaking it down step by step, but I really focus on the communication skills. I teach how to do an elevator pitch. How can we communicate something in 90 seconds that makes us seem irresistible, and maybe even pitch a business idea to somebody in 90 seconds, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And I feel that whenever we we think about communication skills, we just think, oh, it's verbal and it's intimidating because I don't want to get on the stage. It's the listening. Listen first and then speak, right? You can really only give an elevator pitch if you know what your audience needs. And the words that you will use will relate to your audience and their pain points.
I
And I think that's really where the essence comes in.
I find it amazing, Christina, because we need at least 2 or 3 hours. But anyway, but the other thing that I was going to say is that I was not a good communicator, and I had self-conscious, and until somebody in 1990 said to me, "Hey, John, I want you to go with me to Toastmasters."
Good.
I said, "What's Toastmasters?" He said, "It's communication skills." And for our people watching, millions and millions of people are part of Toastmasters. Go to Google, look it up internationally, but mainly in North America. Tens of millions of people have gone through the process of parts of Toastmasters to become a better communicator. I stayed in Toastmasters for 10 years. I became a distinguished Toastmaster, the highest level of Toastmasters. And people ask me, say, what is Toastmasters all about? And I say to them, first and foremost, to become a good listener. That's what Toastmasters. Then secondly, is to stand on your feet and articulate a question into an answer and think about it. And then the third one is evaluate somebody else's presentation, and because it teaches you then to evaluate interaction in your life in a general way. And then the fourth one is to become a presenter. And the interesting part about being a presenter, as I do, is that and I can say that to you and all the millions of people that are watching us, but anyway, but I'm a very, very good presenter, as you are. I know you are. And then I say the other part about it is that if I make a presentation, they may forget some of the things that I say, but they will never, never forget me being on stage, because I'm different. And so I get close to them. I like to wander around. I like to interact with them. They will never forget me.
I'm the same way. Yeah, I actually think if I were to be an animal, John, I would probably be a squirrel. Squirrel, always moving around,
I like it.
collecting things, moving back and forth.
Yeah, I like it. Now, you have a third book as well, Christina?
So that is a planner.
Okay.
Maybe for that author that needs to get started and putting their ideas to paper. And actually, I have a lot of neurodivergent students in my classes on campus because I'm a professor. So of course, we use the books in the classroom.
Right.
And they actually let me know what they would like to see. And then I put it in there because I'm listening to what they want, right? I'm going to be a professor who actually fine-tunes with what they like. And they said, we want to doodle. We can't just sit in the classroom. So we want to draw. And we want to color while we listen, because we listen better when we do something with our hand.
Exactly.
And that's what I did. I created monthly planning sheets, end quote, sheets, but I also listened to what they said. They basically said, oh, and you will love this one. I have a sleep tracker here. Because I think that my students don't get enough sleep, and so I have them track it.
I love it, Christina. Yeah.
And then, as I say, this is a planner that will transform your life, because you have something in your hands that will, small steps, big wins. It's a simple system for big momentum.
So what I'm going to do is I have 5 books that I did so far. I'm working on my 6th one. I'm going to sign 5 copies for you. I'm going to send them all to you.
Oh my gosh, what a great gift. Yeah. I can't wait. That will be a moment of joy. I should film it and then share it with you.
I like it. So it is amazing. And then for all the people watching us, and watching our podcast. My podcast obviously is On the Brink with John A. Brink. And Christina, give me once more your podcast.
Happy, Healthy, Hustle.
And then Dr. Schroeter.com.
It's Dr. Christiane. Yeah. So just write out the word Dr. Christiane.com is where you can find a little bit more about me and some secrets that I didn't even share here today. So you definitely need to go to that website where you can also order my books.
And order the books, and the books are available on all the major medias. And did you do audio and all of those as well?
I don't do audio. The main reason is because it's worksheets.
Yeah.
And it's mainly really for teaching and coaching. So the worksheet itself, I don't read out what's written in the worksheet. It doesn't really lend itself to that.
Yeah, obviously.
But it's available on Kindle and available in paper version at all major retailers.
And then subscribe to both our podcasts because it encourages us to do more and similar things. Share it with others. Like it if you do, and make comments about it, because we want to be regular podcasters as we do globally, because the issues that we are discussing are global issues, and that's what we do, and we do it with passion, obviously, and hence the success of Dr. Christiane Schroeter and hers and my own. We want to do more of it, different ideas, and this is the new media as we go forward in the world, more so than anything else, in my view.
Completely agree. And then, think about the time we just spent together, the connection we just built, and how you can connect with us, listening to us, and connect even more by reaching out. So I can't wait to hear your feedback. And maybe there are even some listeners from Germany right there.
I'm sure there will be. And then we will release this podcast within 2 hours. And it is what it is. I don't do any editing on it. If I sneeze, I sneeze. If something drops down, it drops down. So I like to do it, but we did. That's what it is. So Dr. Christiane, it was a privilege and a pleasure to have you on my podcast. Let's make sure we stay in touch. I will sign the books for you. We will send them to you. I hope we don't get charged, or you don't get charged import duty or whatever. No, I'm just kidding. So
it will be a surprise. I would share that. That might be a fun joke I might share with you.
I like it.
Thank you.
Okay, Christiane, it was a pleasure, and we'll stay in touch.
Thank you.
Take care.